What is it, Precious? What is it?
My name is Bilbo Baggins.
Bagginses? What is a Bagginses, Precious?
I'm a hobbit from the Shire.
Oh, we like goblinses, batses and fishes, but we hasn't tried hobbitses before. Is it soft? Is it juicy?
Now, keep your distance. I'll use this if I have to. I don't want any trouble, you understand? Just show me the way to get out of here, and I'll be on my way.
Why? Is it lost?
Yes, and I want to get unlost as soon as possible.
Oh, we know safe paths for hobbitses. Safe paths in the dark. Shut up!
I didn't say anything.
I wasn't talking to you.
Hello everybody, I'm Peter Travers. This is Popcorn, where we tell you what's happening at the movies, and there can't be a bigger happening right now than The Hobbit. And we're going to talk about all things Hobbit, but our guest knows everything about it because it's Andy Serkis, who you've just seen, sort of seen, playing Gollum. But this is the real Andy Serkis. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome. Good to see you.
Really good to see you.
There he is. There's that guy right behind you.
Oh my God,
yeah, look at him.
Well, he's ugly, isn't he?
He looks nothing like you.
Well, that's very sweet of you to say.
And yet, they say in motion capture, they capture everything.
Well, that's right. No, actually, if you look closely though, his facial muscle structure is exactly mine. That was the whole purpose of designing him that way, so that the facial capture really translates all of the expressions very, very loyally.
But I want to ask right away about Hobbit, because it's not just The Hobbit that Peter Jackson decided to go back and make. He's making 3 Hobbits. 3. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have like a total of almost 9 hours of this again.
Oh yeah.
Meaning you're going to be working your butt off.
We have been. We've been shooting for, well, principal photography was 274 days, and
is there still a little left?
There'll be some reshoots. There'll be some more to go. But yeah, I mean, we've shot an enormous amount of material, and I can say we shot because I was directing the second unit, and the second unit shot for 200 days. So it's like it was a big operation. Yeah.
Well, it's 3 giant movies.
Yeah.
I want to ask you that, but first I want to get into this, you getting back into Gollum Smeagol mode.
Right.
Because you've done other things. You've been acting as you've been doing Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and then suddenly Peter Jackson and company say, Andy, we're back.
Yeah.
Do you go, oh no, or are you excited?
Well, normally I don't really like going back, but actually for that character, yeah. I mean, he's never been that far away. It was an extraordinarily beautifully written role when I took it on originally and crafted it with Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens, the writers, and Peter back in 1999 when we started on it.
God,
but of course,
yeah,
that's when we started working on it. And actually at that time, of course, there was no kind of method of a way of creating Gollum in the way he ended up being. I mean, when I first heard about it, at that point, visual effects were, the way they were created with actors on set was obviously they had to act against a tennis ball on a stick, and I don't want the actors, Pete was saying, I don't want the actors playing Sam and Frodo to act against the tennis ball on a stick with the Gollum scenes, because he's driving most of those scenes, it's very, he pulls those guys around. So he wanted an actor to play the role, although he would be finally manifested as a CG character. So, but it was during the process of shooting and me being on set and acting out the role that Pete said, no, we're going to use performance capture or motion capture at the time, and that evolved. And so coming back, so I guess what I'm saying is 12 years later, coming back and playing him again, I didn't have to have any of those issues to worry about. We weren't creating a method of making the character. We could just concentrate on the character, which was great.
You're wearing like a green...
It's basically a very skin-tight suit, which is covered in reflective markers. And these markers are picked up by 360-degree cameras, which they basically act like tiny, in lay speak, they're kind of like GPSs, each one of them, so that if I move my fingers like this, or my arm, or my hand, or my, like this, I can see on a screen, I can see Gollum moving at exactly the same time. Then that's motion capture. Then if you add to that the same thing for the face, so you have tiny markers all over your face, so that whenever you move or make a facial expression, you're driving a digital puppet. That then becomes facial capture, and if you combine the two with audio, you're getting an entire actor's performance, which is why it's called now performance capture.
But how long does it take you to get used to all that junk all over your face? I don't know that I could move my face in a regular way if I had all that on there.
Well, you know, acting is all about using your imagination, and you just have to obliterate all of that. So I have a head-mounted camera. You know, I'm wearing a helmet with a head-mounted camera. You just have to forget all that's there, and actually, when you're looking into the eyes of the other actor that you're playing opposite, you forget it all, and then in fact they do too. I mean, Martin Freeman, who obviously he plays the Hobbit in this, you know, and
he's Bilbo.
He's Bilbo Baggins. He is the Hobbit, and I think he worried about it for about 2 seconds. You know, looking into my eyes. I mean, I had all the gear on, but once we started acting with each other. And it was very interesting because, in fact, the big Gollum Bilbo scene in the piece was the very first thing that was shot in principal photography on this movie, because Peter wanted to get back into the world with a character that he knew, and for the crew and everyone. But for Martin, it was really important for him to find Bilbo just with one other character, rather than being faced with 13 dwarves and a wizard.
I don't know though. I mean, that scene, which comes later in the movie, I don't want to give away too much, but the thing is, it's the whole game of riddles. I think my head would come off just trying to say those lines and to get it, let alone with all of that gear that's going on in it.
And in many ways, having that skin-tight suit, you know, it lends itself to a character like Gollum. It's because he is pretty much naked, you know. So in fact, that's not really too much of a worry. If you're playing a character that for instance, when I did Tintin and I was playing Captain Haddock in Tintin, then you're playing a sea captain with and he's got a jacket. And you're still wearing a skin-tight suit, so you have to imagine all of that stuff. You know, so that's.
Think of the saving on wardrobe. Well, you're just imagining it, and then they'll build it onto you. Then that will happen.
It's digital costume and makeup. Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
How long do you have to work to do this?
Well, I mean, during the original Lord of the Rings, obviously, it was a big period of kind of research for the character and working out how he sounded and how he would move, and that was based on so many different things, not least, of course, Tolkien's source material, and there are millions of descriptions of Gollum. I mean, he's very. I think Tolkien was very, very in love with that character, in the sense that he totally empathised with him and gave him such pity and pathos, but described him in so many different ways as being, you know, like a grasshopper or a spider or a puppy or a, you know. So there were all of those things to draw from, and then I'm very inspired by paintings, and like Francis Bacon's paintings really inspired me to play Gollum. That sort of the tortured nature of the way that Bacon paints. Da Vinci's paintings. There's a painting of the death of Saint Jerome, which was very influential in the way that I kind of the physicality for Gollum, and then really it was a matter of practicing with the digital avatar character and being able to see that on a monitor and to calibrate my movements to his, and then the voice was very much drawn from finding out, well, where does Gollum carry his pain and his tension, and it's for him, he's called Gollum because of the way he sounds, and so it was in his throat where I figured where he's really, you know, it's seized up almost from the guilt of killing his cousin and stealing the rings. And I was very inspired by one of my cats, Diz, coughing up a fur ball, you know, because for me that seemed to be that sort of involuntary action that they have when their whole body's spasming to try and...
It's a choking
choking sound, so that became... and that then became... you know, and that was how it sort of came to be.
So your cat is owed everything.
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 My entire career.
And now, the end is near. And I must face, oh precious, the final curtain.